Far Cry is Ubisoft's one of the most successful game franchise, which is known for its survival style gameplay, first person mode, and amazingly well written antagonists. And with each coming year, fans are getting excited for another Far Cry entry. But in this video, we will not talk about Far Cry 7, but we'll talk about another topic which is quite relatable amongst the fans, which is why Far Cry series is evolving but backwards. We will just talk about the facts, so stick with this video to find out why. There is one thing worth mentioning, and that is Far Cry series has undoubtedly seen improvements in the later games, but in this video we will only talk about the things that have taken a step backwards in the later Far Cry games. And some points discussed in this video will be our personal opinion. Yours opinion might be different, so without wasting any further time, let's start. Far Cry series was quite innovative back in the day. Even Far Cry 2 had better mechanics than every Far Cry game combined. You can easily hear the bullet casings drop on the ground, and not only that, but you can also get your gun jammed if you don't clean it enough. Thus making it the most realistic Far Cry game out there. And if we try to find the same things in any newer Far Cry game, we will fail, because the newer games just nerfed those mechanics for some unknown and weird reasons which we don't know. New games should improve upon the older ones, but in case of Far Cry, that is just opposite. In the newer games, guns don't get jammed, the physics are not up to the mark, and there are many things that are still counting. It's Ubisoft's laziness that they don't add new mechanics in the game. They should utilize the full capacity of the next generation consoles to give us a quality product rather than the same thing again and again and again, but with more nerfed mechanics. They should focus on innovation and a realistic approach rather than recycling the same thing over and over. The gameplay of Far Cry used to be quite unique in the older games. There were dedicated and pre-designed missions with their own unique objectives, cutscenes, and more. Far Cry 3 expanded upon this and people loved it. But after Far Cry Primal, this thing went missing. The story missions were only copy and pasted sections that they recycled. Cutscenes became limited, and the whole feel and emotion of the franchise was gone. They only focused on making the map bigger and larger, but forgot to put anything in it, which made the gameplay repetitive with same objectives, same activities that bored a lot of players. They ruined the essence of a Far Cry game starting from Far Cry 5. This not only affected gameplay, but the overall quality. Far Cry 6 promised to be more closer to the older titles, but it also fell short in terms of gameplay archetype, which was obviously the same from Far Cry 5. The only better Far Cry game of the new era is Far Cry New Dawn. Although it takes place in the same map, but it's much better and well executed, with each section having its own unique feeling to it, which the players can experience. The story of the older games had meaningful characters, and they had the story which had lifelong lessons embedded in them. But the newer games have story which start off pretty strong but lose its track in the middle. The story was amazing in the newer games, but the way they presented to us was quite not good. If we talk about Far Cry 5, the story starts off pretty strong. We know that there is a whole cult that is against us, and we have to fight it. They build the character of the father quite well, but as soon as we leave the tutorial island, we get engaged in a lot of activities that we completely lose track of what is happening. There's just so much to do in the world, and the things themselves are just mid. No gripping narrative, Nothing. In short, you get 4 particular regions and the progression is made by just blowing things up. It's Just Cause but in first person, and this is a better of describing the newer games. The story is locked behind a destruction wall which we have to break by causing mayhem. Instead of this, the thing that they should do instead is just focus on a gripping narrative with more focus on story than gameplay. If they pull off the story, they can immediately make a better game. This will not only add replayability but will also increase the game's value. Again, I mentioned this is our personal opinion. Yours opinion might be different. One of the major selling point of a game is its graphics. We know for the fact that in today's time, majority of the world prefer how the game looks rather than how the game actually plays. And in case of Far Cry, it's actually different. The older Far Cry games, including Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, had graphics better for their time. But in case of Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 6, this is not the case. For example, you can see how Anton Castillo looks in this particular cutscene.
Señor Presidente, we must consider your safety. Libertad is surrounding the capital.
We need a clear view of the sunrise from here.
Sí, señor Presidente.
I want yarns to catch the horizon at every intersection.
I have several boats prepared. If we leave now, we can have you and Diego.
This is the wrong design.
He looks like he is straight ripped out from a PlayStation 3 video game. This shows how lazy Ubisoft has become, and this is one of the many reasons why Far Cry 6 just failed or isn't remembered, because of its weak story, but also because of its quality. This shows that they only worked on the map and forgot the story and graphics. They try to improve it in the updates, but what's done was done. And this shows how greedy corporate companies can be if they want money and only money. And this was one of the reasons why this is happening. Ubisoft is now sticking with quantity over quality rather than quality over quantity. And this is why we believe that Far Cry series is just evolving just backwards. They are not putting the same amount of efforts as they used to put. They are simply copying and pasting stuff over and over and over again and selling it as a new game with little to no improvements aside from a different map and a new antagonist. They just don't make quality Far Cry games anymore. But if they make one and utilize the full potential of current generation, we are definitely sure that they will pull it off and will make a better and more polished Far Cry game that we have never seen. But this is just us talking, and we hope this answered to your question about Far Cry game's downfall. We hope that you agreed with our list of things. We will see you in another interesting video. Till then, take care and goodbye.